Namaskar. I am Dr. Swapna Pillai, Associate Professor, Department of Commerce here at the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. Today, we are going to discuss Module 2 under the Consolidated Balance Sheet. But before we discuss today's module, let us have a quick recap of the points that we have discussed under Module 1. In Module 1, we have discussed about consolidation. We have tried to understand what is consolidation. We have looked at the meaning of holding company. We have looked at the meaning of the subsidiary company. Then we have looked at the types of the subsidiary company, wholly owned and partly owned. Then we have looked at the rules for membership of holding company. And finally, we have also discussed the rules regarding preparation of consolidated balance sheet. A few points were discussed in Module 1 and few points were remaining, which we are going to take up in this Module 2. In Module 2, we are going to discuss the remaining aspects for preparation of consolidated balance sheet. And finally, we are going to try to understand the entire rules by looking at an example. So, let us start and try to understand, first of all, the preparation of or calculation of minority interest. Now, when holding company holds more than 50% but not the whole shares of the company, then the holders of rest of the shares are known as minority. Such minority shareholders have the right over the assets of the subsidiary company in proportion to their holdings. They have also their share in the liabilities of the subsidiary company. Let us look at the formula for calculation of minority interest. Minority interest is calculated by taking following points into consideration. The proportionate shares in the share capital of the subsidiary company, proportionate share in the reserves and profits in the subsidiary company, proportionate shares in the profit on revaluation of fixed assets of the subsidiary company. We have to add all these and we have to subtract the following amounts if it is given in the question. That is, proportionate shares in loss on revaluation of fixed assets of subsidiary company. That is, if there is profit, we will add, if there is loss, we will subtract. Similarly, proportionate share in the trading loss of the subsidiary company. If there is a loss, we have to deduct. Then finally, the amount that we arrive at is the minority interest. If the share capital of the subsidiary company includes preference shares too, and holding company has not acquired such shares, then the amount of preference share capital plus dividend payable thereon are also included in the minority interest. That is, if the holding has not acquired these shares. Now, let us look at the treatment of pre-acquisition profits and reserves losses of subsidiary company. Accumulated profits and reserves which appear in the balance sheet of the subsidiary company up to the date of acquisition of its shares by the holding company are called pre-acquisition profits and reserves. The holding company and the minority shareholders, if any, will have proportionate share in such profits and reserves. The share of minority shareholders in such profit and reserves will be added to the amount of minority interest as we have just discussed in the formula. But the holding company's proportionate share in such profits and reserves should be treated as capital profits, and it will be credited to capital reserve, since the holding company cannot earn any revenue profits from its subsidiary before the shares are acquired in it. While preparing consolidated balance sheet, this capital reserve, however, should be shown in the liability side, or if there is any goodwill, it is to be shown as a deduction from the goodwill in the assets side. Accumulated losses of the subsidiary company up to the date of acquisition of shares must be shared between holding company and minority shareholders in proportion to their respective holdings. The minority shareholders' share of such losses, it should be deducted from the amount of minority interest, whereas the holding company's share of such losses should be treated as capital loss, and it should be debited to the goodwill account. While preparing the consolidated balance sheet, this goodwill account should be shown as an asset. Next is treatment of profit or loss on revaluation of assets of subsidiary company. Any profit resulting from revaluation of assets of the subsidiary company, whether before or after the date of acquisition of shares, must be divided between the holding company and minority shareholders in proportion to their respective holdings. The minority shareholders' share of such profit should be added to the minority interest, and the holding company's share should be treated as capital profits and dealt with like pre-acquisition profits and reserve. If there is any loss on the date of acquisition, it must be again shared by both in proportion to their respective holdings. The minorities shareholders' share of such loss should be deducted from the amount of minority interest, but the holding company's share of such loss should be treated as capital loss. Next, post-acquisition profit or loss. Profits earned or losses incurred by the subsidiary company after the date of acquisition of its shares by the holding company, they are called as post-acquisition profits and losses. So, as the minority shareholders are concerned, there is no difference between pre and post-acquisition profits and losses. But so far as the holding company is concerned, it really makes a lot of difference. The holding company's share of such profits or losses should be treated as revenue profits and losses, and as such should be credited or debited to its statement of profit and loss. Next, purchase of shares of subsidiary company during the financial year. When holding company purchases the shares of the subsidiary company at any time during the financial year, then what accounting treatment do we do to the general reserve? General reserve of subsidiary company is divided in two parts according to the prior and post period of purchase of its shares by the holding company. Suppose financial year is from 1st January to December 31st. If shares are purchased on 1st October, the prior period is 9 months and the subsequent period is 3 months. So, the reserve of the subsidiary company will be divided in the ratio of 9:3. Prior period reserve is treated as capital profit for the holding company. What shall we do to the capital reserve or capital fund? Capital reserve or capital fund of the subsidiary company is divided in two parts. Reserve or fund of the prior period is treated as capital profit of the holding company. Profit of the current year. Profit of current year of subsidiary company is also divided into two parts. Prior period profit is treated as capital reserve by the holding company. Now let us look at an example. The balance sheet of R Limited and its subsidiary of S Limited are given below. Equity and liabilities. Under equity and liabilities, we have shareholders' funds. Under shareholders' funds, we have the share capital of rupees 10 each. For R Limited, it is rupees 1 lakh. For S Limited, it is 40,000. Next is reserve and surplus. Under reserve and surplus, we have general reserve of R Limited as 60,000. For S Limited, that is a subsidiary company, the reserves are nil. The statement of profit and loss, R Limited is having a surplus of 25,000 and S Limited is having a loss of 10,000. Current liabilities, trade payables of R Limited is 40,000, S Limited is 25,000. So the total of liabilities is R Limited 2,25,000 and S Limited 55,000. Let us look at the assets. Under assets, we have goodwill of R Limited as 20,000. Sundry assets of R Limited 1,80,000, of S Limited 55,000. Then there is an investment by the holding in subsidiary, that is 3,000 shares in S Limited. R Limited is investing 3,000 shares in S Limited, amount is 25,000. So the total assets of R Limited is 2,25,000 and S Limited is 55,000. So from the information given, how do we calculate the minority interest? As we can see in the question, out of the 4,000 shares, 3,000 shares has been taken over. So the ratio becomes 3/4. So 3/4 is the share taken by holding. How much is left? 1/4. So 1/4 share is the share of minority interest. So 1/4 share capital of S Limited is 10,000. So out of 40, if 3 parts is 30, so 1 part is 10,000. So 1/4 share of S Limited is 10,000. What is the proportionate share for the minority shareholders? There is a loss shown in the balance sheet under the S Limited account. So 1/4 share of loss of S Limited. Loss is again 10,000, 1/4 is 2,500. So when we deduct 2,500 from 10,000, we have an amount of 7,500. So this 7,500 is the minority interest. Now to understand all these adjustments, let us have a look at an example. The balance sheet of Rini Limited and Silly Limited on 31st March 2014 is given below. Equity and liabilities, shareholders funds. Under shareholders funds, we have share capital, equity share of rupees 10 each fully paid. The amount is 90,000 for Rini and 40,000 for Silly. Reserve and surplus. Under reserve and surplus, the statement of P&L, that is surplus, for Rini is 23,000, for Silly Limited it is 8,000. Current liabilities, the trade payables are 1 lakh for Rini and 22,000 for Silly. So the total of liabilities is 2,13,000 for Rini Limited and 70,000 for Silly Limited. Assets position. Under assets, the non-current assets is 70,000 for Rini and 40,000 for Silly. The current assets is 88,000 for Rini and 20,000 for Silly. There is a cash also, 55,000 for Rini Limited and 10,000 for Silly Limited. And the total of the assets is 2,13,000 and 70,000 for both the companies respectively. There is some additional information which is given in the question. On 1st April 2014, Rini Limited acquired 75% shares of Cini Limited. That is 25% is minority interest. And the rate at which the shares are acquired is rupees 18 per share. So we have to prepare a consolidated balance sheet as at 1st April 2014. Before we make the final consolidated balance sheet, let us look at the calculation of goodwill and minority interest. Calculation of goodwill. The cost of investments is 4,000 shares, 75% are purchased by the holding company and the rate at which they are purchased is 18 rupees. So the amount comes out to be 54,000 rupees. This is the cost of investments. From this, what do we deduct? As per the formula already discussed earlier, we deduct the face value of the shares. Face value of the shares is 30,000, that is 3,000, and its actual value is 10. So the amount comes out to be 30,000. Then we also deduct share in the profit, that is 8,000. 8,000's 75% amount is 6,000. So we have face value and the share in profit. Both amount totals as 36,000. This 36,000 is deducted from the cost of investment, that is 54. The remaining amount is 18,000. This 18,000 is the goodwill which will be shown in the consolidated balance sheet. Let us look at calculation number 2, which is a calculation of minority interest. Now, if 75% shares are purchased by the holding company, the remaining 25% would go to the minority shareholders, and therefore we have to also calculate their stake in the company. How do we do that? So first we take face value of shares, that is 40,000 is their value, 25% is their stake. So 40,000 into 25% is 10,000. Then what do? We add their share in the profit. Their profit is 8,000 and 25% stake is 2,000. So 10,000 and 2,000 together is 12,000. So this amount is a stake of minority shareholders, and this minority interest would be shown in the liability side of the consolidated balance sheet. Now let us see how the consolidated balance sheet would be prepared. Consolidated balance sheet as on 1st April 2014. Equity and liabilities. Share capital, it is 90,000. Reserve and surplus, that is statement of P&L, 23,000. Minority interest, 12,000. Current liabilities, we have trade payables. Trade payables both of Rini Limited and Cini Limited would be taken. That is, Rini Limited is 1 lakh, Cini is 22, the total becomes 1,22,000. So the total of liabilities is 2,47,000. So let us look at the assets. Under assets, we have the non-current assets. Under non-current assets, we have the fixed assets. Under fixed assets, we have the tangible assets. Now, tangible assets of both Rini and Cini would be taken. The amount is 70,000 plus 40, that is 1,10,000. Intangible assets, we got goodwill under the calculation that we've discussed. Calculation number 1, we got an amount of 18. That amount of 18,000 would be written here under the head intangible assets. Then we have current assets. Under current assets, we have Rini. Current assets is 88,000. Cini we have 20. Together it goes at rupees 1,08,000. Now cash, there is an adjustment of cash because there is no investment shown in the balance sheet. So whatever cash the holding company has, it is going to use it to purchase the shares of subsidiary company. Now the cash statement of holding company was 55,000. Out of that 55,000, it is utilizing 54,000 to purchase the shares of subsidiary company. So out of 55, if 54 is being used to purchase the investments, what are we left at? We are left with only rupees 1,000 under the head of the Rini Limited, which is the holding. So cash balance will show balance of only 1,000 in Rini Limited and whatever is shown in Cine Limited would be taken over. So the total of cash is 1000 plus 10, that is 11, and the total of assets now stands at 2,47,000. This is how the consolidated balance sheet of the holding company would be prepared at the end of the financial year. So in module number 2, we have tried to look at the adjustments that is undertaken for preparation of consolidated balance sheet, and we have tried to understand it with the examples which we have just discussed. So under consolidated accounts, we have tried to discuss holding company, subsidiary company and balance sheet under 2 modules, module 1 and module 2. Thank you.